Tish here from StampedLorraine.com. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the US, and I'm here to show you some neat, fun folds that use the beautiful Blackberry Beauty Designer Series paper. And I'm sticking with my fall theme because the colors on this paper are just gorgeous, with its blackberry, raspberry, gold foil, browns, and some pinks mixed in there. It's just so beautiful. It works really nicely with fall colors, fall cards. So I'm going to show you a fun fold that's called a crossover gatefold card. And a gatefold is a card that opens in the middle. Your folds are on the outside, opens like a two hinged gate. But this one unique because the fronts are going to kind of crisscross over each other. So I have several examples to show you, of course, and I would like you to give me a thumbs up down below if you think you like the video, and if you could leave a comment, even better, because I like to know what you are enjoying about the videos. Keeping kind of with the fall theme still, I'm using the Blackberry Beauty 12 by 12 Designer Series paper that has a lot of these beautiful designs in rich raspberry, blackberry bliss, cinnamon cider. There's a cinnamon cider piece, and gold foil, and early espresso. I've done some pumpkin cards when I did the bingo with some of the patterns, and these are some of the others. Has the a little bit of polished pink in there too for some highlights. So each of these papers has a little bit of gold on one side, and as you know, the double-sided, the other side has more of a flat pattern. And it's very, very pretty, very rich and elegant. So I'm using those today to show you 3 versions of what's called a crossover gatefold card. We're going to have a card that is oriented horizontally instead of vertically, and we're going to make a gatefold, which means the middle is going to be your back and the sides are going to fold forward, to open up like a double gate. So first thing we want to do is score on one side 2 3/4, because if you think of it, that's half of your 5 1/2, right? So you want to just do half of what you would normally do. All right, so using your score tool on your trimmer or whatever device you're using, make sure you don't use a cutting blade. You're going to do a score on one side. Now, if you really wanted to, you can score the other side, but my suggestion is sometimes if you're slightly off, you might end up with a gap, or you might end up going too far and it doesn't close properly, and you might have to trim a little bit. So what I do is I just do one side, burnish it with your bone folder, and then I just fold the other side without scoring it first, so that I can just meet it up and I know it's going to be just right. Because sometimes, even if you're careful, you could be, a 1/16 of an inch off, or, I don't know, just not quite right. So this way you know it's going to fit very nicely. All right, so just make sure you burnish that nice crisp shapes. Okay, so now that's your typical gatefold, where it opens in the middle. What we're going to do is we're going to make the front crisscross over. So instead of just having something here, we're going to put another layer across so that it can, it's going to overlap and open in different directions. So here's where your next piece comes in. Your cardstock that is 2 inches by 5 1/4. So obviously this is a 5 1/2, so you want to be a quarter less. But normally this piece, if you did the whole piece, you would have it, well, you would have 4 by 5 1/4, right? So we're going to just be able to leave a little bit of a gap in between, and it's going to be like this. But before we glue it down, we are going to decide which way we want it to open, because we're only going to glue it to one of the flaps. So now it's up to you, really. I've seen both ways. If you want the top part to be glued down to the left side and open like this, so the top part opens like your typical book, then the other side is going to open in the other direction. Well, obviously it opens in the other direction, but you're going to glue this to the other side, and that's where you get the crossover effect. Okay, where the two of them, are not both on the same side, like this. So you can decide. Now, I've seen plenty like this, because kind of people think, oh, you're going to open from the top first, left up from, going in toward the left. But then some other people say, oh, I didn't like that. I felt like it should go the other way around, because sometimes you open from the bottom and you do this. So totally up to you which direction you want it to go. I'm doing some in both directions, and we can kind of see, because unless you kind of try it out, you don't really know. But most people are, when they receive your card, are not going to criticize and say, oh, this really should have opened in the other direction. They're going to look at your card and say, oh, how beautiful. That was so kind of the person to make one for me. Okay, so that's the concept. So let's decorate this a little bit. I'm going to use some of the Designer Series paper. And you can use the same pattern on both if you like. And I'll show you some of those. That's what that would look like. And this is what that would look like here. But I'm going to do one of each. I'm going to mix and match them. So since birds fly up in the sky, I'm going to keep that one on top. This one is a little darker, so I'm going to keep that down on the bottom. And we're just going to glue that on there. So now you can have your card base your neutral color and then have a colored here. Whatever works for your pattern. But since these were kind of dark, I wanted the vanilla on here. Now, one thing that's nice about this DSP is there is no actual white or vanilla in the color palette. And so what's really nice is you can use either one. So I'm using vanilla here, and I'll show you another one where I end up using some white, depending on the kind of look you want. You want something, a real contrast, or you want a softer look. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those DSP pieces on. Okay, my card base here is a rich raspberry, which matches with the background here, and then the polished pink is right on there. So this is what we're going to end up with. This has a tiny bit of gold shiny foil on there, just on the little flowers. So just a hint of that little sparkle there. Okay, so now we want to glue it to just one side of your flap. Now just kind of, get an idea where it's going to be. You want equal amount on either side. Maybe a tiny bit less up at the top, because you want to compensate for that little bit of a gap. Doesn't have to be much, because you just don't want it overlapping. So depending on the look that you want, that would be fine. Okay, so I know that's going to go there. And when you put your glue on, be careful not to go past that point. All right, if you wanted to be really careful, you could mark it in the back and say, okay, I don't want to go past this spot with my glue. Or what I like to do, and I've done this plenty of times before, I will know not to go too far with my glue over here. So I'm going to definitely start on the end. Not go too far, but then I will put glue over here. Let me open this up so I don't make a mess, because I know this part needs to be glued down. And again, I'm not going to go more than halfway, because I know this is going to overlap. All right. Okay, so now I'll measure. Don't totally push it down tight until you know you're in the right spot. Okay, and there you go. So it's only glued to one side. Okay, now the other one will go in the other direction. So I'll do the same. I'll put a little glue on this edge. So now I know I don't have to go too far over this way because that will cover it. And then line up the other piece. All right, and that's your fold. And of course you want to put something in the middle so that you can write. And we'll put some sentiments, and you can always put some die cuts or something else over there. So this will go on the inside. I'm going to show you a couple others that I started here with the same designer series pack. And so this one is the Blackberry Bliss. You can see it's a little bit darker than the Rich Razzleberry. This one a little bit, I don't know, more wine, a deep burgundy color maybe, and this one a little bit lighter. So that's that one, using the gold foil instead of the vanilla here. And then here's another one that I did with the same designer series paper, but this one comes, instead of a random pattern like the others, this sheet comes like this, where you have sort of a scene in half of it. So if you cut it in six across, 6 inches across, you would have a full little scene that you can either cut pieces from, or if you're a scrapbooker, you can use a whole strip. So the same on both sides. So I wanted to keep the integrity of those flowers and just seem like the whole thing is on my card, but just split in the middle. So I purposely cut my DSP that way. And I had trouble deciding how to mount this one at first, because this color here is nothing that we actually have a color for. You know, Sandblack doesn't have that color. So it's not smoky slate, it's not gray granite, it's a different color. So I was having a tough time. I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to go with the same burgundy for the border. And then that was just a little too dark, but I didn't want this much gold either. So I said, all right, we're going to put the slimmest amount of gold around there, because the gold on here is so delicate. This one is a bolder look to begin with, all that gold foil on there, so it could withstand the bigger border. So this one I just cut down to, well, the DSP was 1 1/4 by 5. I forgot to mention that before. 1 1/4 by 5, and then it's mounted on your cardstock, which is 1/4 inch bigger, so that's 2 by 5 1/4. And then I went literally about a 1/16, less than an 1/8 bigger for the gold, just to have that little hint there and define those rectangles against the card base. All right, so let me just take a minute to glue those down. So you can see I made these open in different directions. This one, the top opens from right to left. This one, it opens the other direction. I don't know which way to go. I really don't have a preference. Okay, so because this one has that extra teeny weeny border, we're going to have to make it go closer to the top and the bottom to make sure it fits. Okay, so this one is going on the other side. These patterns are just so rich and beautiful. It's amazing. Okay, so again, if you're using the glue, you have that little bit of a wiggle room, and I'm not totally pushing it down until I know I'm in the right spot, and then I could rub it on. Okay, so isn't that pretty? All right, so now we need to put middle inside there. I think we're going to go with the white on this one, like I did with the other. And now we have to decorate it a little bit. Okay, so it's always nice to put something on the inside, and we're going to put some sentiments or some little things on the outside. This one I thought, because it's a lot of gold, we can withstand a nice bright pumpkin on there, nice and shiny and glimmery. And our inside I'm going to glue down because I'm not going to stamp on it. Of course, if you were stamping on it, you would stamp first in case you made a mistake. And you can turn it over or put it aside, cut it down for another project, whatever. But I'm not going to stamp on this. I'm going to do something different. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to put my pumpkin over here, and I'm going to put that up with some dimensionals. And these tiny ones, the little ones, are perfect for this little pumpkin. Use my take your pick tool to pick those up. And because it's kind of fragile, I don't want to skimp too much on these. You want each piece down so it doesn't get caught on anything. And believe it or not, these sections here are kind of narrow. Actually, this one's a little thicker. I can put a full dimensional there. This other side, a little tiny, so I think I'm going to have to just cut a thinner piece. So that's where the edges are good on the foam sheets. You can cut a piece that's smaller. All right, so that's ready to go. Okay, oh, I'm gonna put this on this side. All right, so getting a nice Thanksgiving card. This might go to my in-laws that are hosting Thanksgiving this year. All right, and what I'm going to use to decorate, this is the ephemera pack that comes with this suite. And it's these little labels, these die cuts. Some are frames, some are labels, some are banners, some are beautiful little designs that you can punch out, and they match the patterns that are on here with the leaves and the flowers, and you can punch those out. So you have some like this, and these punch out into frames as well. I just didn't take everything apart because I want them to kind of stay secure. So you have a little banner here. You also have a frame here in this pattern, and so you can get a lot of different things out of that. And then you have your gold foil pieces. You have 2 sheets of that, and then you have some other designs here that are multicolored. You have your owl, oak tree, and flowers. You have some longer banner labels, and then there's another one in there. So yeah, you have 2 of each of these. Okay, or maybe just one of these because there are 2 of the things here. Okay, I'm going to take this little label here. Let me put it here so you can see better. And I'm going to stamp right on that, and we'll put it on the top here. And even though this is rather busy and this is white, it kind of stands out. It kind of looks like the flowers are spilling into the label a little bit. So I thought that kind of looked pretty. Now, the trick and the nervous part is to see if we can get this straight. Okay, we're going to stamp it in black. That's okay. I like to test my stamp first on some grid paper, because sometimes if the decal is just slightly off, you might have to adjust a little bit. Say, oh, if the right side is too low, you have to adjust and make it higher. So this one looks pretty straight. And hold your breath. Get right over the top. Shoo! Yay! That came out fine. Put that right on there, and I think I'll just keep that straight down. I think I will maybe put just a little bit of a gold twine on there. Right here. I'm going to fold it in half. Don't need quite that much. I'm going to feed the folded end through the loop. Oh, go from the front. Sorry, go from the front to the back, and then feed the ends in, and then you'll see that loop on the top. Okay, And then I'm just going to trim those. And I will put that on there. And I'm going to make sure when I glue this down, I'm going to put a little teeny dot of glue underneath that gold trim, just so it doesn't come off. All right. And then I will adjust how short I want to make those. So I'm going to glue that down. Okay, because I don't want that hanging off too much. A little bit is okay. I'll cut that little bit there. Okay, so now let's put a little something inside here. And I have this pretty little flower I'm just going to glue right down from that ephemera pack. Now, I had to look up what ephemera means. Anybody there know what it means? I've seen it a couple times. So I had to look it up. I did not know. And apparently, it's something memorable or collectible. And it kind of has some sentimental value. I guess that's what memorable, collectible means. And it's often something that's paper. So I guess this makes sense. This looks kind of old-fashioned, like memorable, and it is paper for sure. All right, so there's our beautiful card. It says thank you, but it has that fall theme to it with the oak leaves and whatnot. So that could be thank you to whoever's hosting your Thanksgiving if you're not. All right, so then let's see what we can do with this one. I'm going to use one of the other labels from there. All right, this is Hello from the Beauty of Friendship. Teeny tiny. Nice to have those sometimes. And it might be a little smaller than that label, but I think it will work. Okay. Okay, not too bad. Let's cover that up. And this one I will pop up on the dimensionals because nothing else is raised here, so why not? What's a card without dimensionals, right? Heaven forbid. Okay, using my edges here. Okay, now that might have looked a little bit better with early espresso on there. And if I want to, I could tie a little ribbon around, a little piece of twine around there, perhaps. Maybe I'll do that later, but get the idea. And because this doesn't have that much color in there, maybe I'll take a little bit of a different die cut from the ephemera pack and bring in some of that Blackberry Bliss. So put that down, and I thought maybe this one could look nice on there. Although it's a different flower, maybe I don't like that. You know what? I'm going to put that on the other one, and I'm just going to leave that for now. I'll decide something later. Maybe even the same flower I put on the other one. Anyway, I'll decide that later. So then let's do a little something with this one. Let's put this on the inside. Remember, this one had the vanilla. Oh, but you know what? This is white. So there you go. I'm not going to put the white on the vanilla. So good thing we thought about that. I'll do something else on here on the inside. Oh, you know what? We put some strips from our leftover DSP. That's what we can do. Or even a little bit of gold. We can bring that in. Let's do that. I will just mark that with my nail and trim that and glue it down. Always look to your scraps. I've been known to pick things out of the garbage. There's trash next to me. Don't worry, it's just all paper. Nothing messy. Okay, that brings a little class for the inside. If you wanted to, didn't like these hanging up, of course, you can put the old belly band around there. And then somebody will just slide that off and be able to open up. So let me know which direction you think you prefer. I'm looking as I'm holding here now. I do tend to open from the bottom, and so maybe this way would be better for me. I'm not sure, but when it's just laying there, it kind of pops open, so you can see how it goes. It's not going to be a big puzzlement. Now here's another idea for attaching your sentiment. I'm using Thinking of You from Blossoms in Bloom, because I wanted something small that could fit on top part of a circle. So as you can see, I took one of my layering circles dies and I die cut one of the medium-sized circles from my gold foil, and I'm going to layer it with the next smaller one, but I only wanted it to fit on the top because we're going to cut this circle in half so that it can fit across the two parts of the card where they split. So it's going to look like it goes together like this, but it's going to have a split so that you can open it. Now I've seen some cards, and this is fun too, I'll do something like this too, where you can overlap that split just enough to hold it, and then it will sort of create a little bit of a closure for at least one side of the cards. All right, and I'm going to show you how to do that with a different die. But if you didn't want to center the circle, you can always just put it a little bit on top there, and then it can just tuck under there and hold at least that part closed, right? All right, but anyway, let's try this idea where we're going to split the circle. All right, so I wanted something small, like I said, to fit just in the top half of the circle. So we'll run that through the die cut machine. Oh, sorry about the glare here from my overhead light. But here we go. We're going to run it through just like this. Carefully lay my plate on top and running it through my mini machine. Nice to have this one right on my desk. I keep my big machine a little bit further away on a more sturdy and a bigger area so I don't have to take up room on my workspace. Okay, so that came out very nicely, and we're going to layer it on there. Now, because that's on the top, I want to put a little something down below. So let's go again to that ephemera pack and see if we can find something. Now, a lot of the things were big, so I'm feeling like I'm going to cut down one of those little sprays to a smaller leaf. So let's see what we can find here. Let's see what could work. Now, because I said the back of this ephemera, the background is white, and I didn't want to use the white on a card where I had vanilla, so I'm going to go to one of those pieces that is just all gold. So something, one of these little guys here, not this that had the white on, but just something that when I punch it out will be all gold. So I suppose I could take maybe this little spray. This might look nice. So you just punch them out. Or I could take maybe this little spray down here. Sometimes can help to have your pick tool handy to get under those delicate pieces. And I'm looking for something that's not going to compromise the remaining images. So for instance, if I took this little spray, I still have these sections of leaves up here. And if I use this piece here, then I still have this spray over here. So I am thinking this might be just a little too small to fill that space. So I'm going to use this. I'm just going to pull that up gently, get my tool underneath to pull it up. I'm going to try to leave the rest intact so that I don't lose it. I'm going to try to cut it so that it doesn't look like it's been cut. Now I did make a little bit of a straight edge. I'm going to try to round it off a little bit. Now I might not even need so much of that. So let's see how this is going to work. Okay, have it going down. The back side is white. Just, you don't have to use the gold, just a suggestion. If you need white, then you can use the white. Of course, I want the gold on this one. Okay, so I think I like it this way, like it's coming on down. I wonder if I want to cut some of that stem off. Maybe a tiny bit. All right, so I'm going to glue it to the top layer first before adhering it to that. I'm going to make sure that it's not going to cross the part where I'm going to cut. All right, so I'm going to glue it down here and we'll trim that off afterwards. So let me get my glue out. And just little dots because you do not want it to smear. Okay, I like to put some tiny dots and then rub it with the tip so I don't have a glob or a big bead of glue. So it's like I'm pre-spreading it. Does that make sense? It's hard to get these teeny tiny pieces. Okay, there we go. I'm going to keep to the bottom because I'm going to cut it halfway across. And I like the fact that it's hanging off there just a little bit. I'm going to turn this around and cut the excess. There we go. I'm going to put this on here. How pretty that looks. And that's going to go right on there. I'm going to split it right in the middle. Okay, so once you think it's dry enough, then you can cut it with your trimmer. Okay, I'm going to line it up. And it doesn't even have to be exactly halfway. It looks like I might be slightly high because I have a 1-inch mark over here and a 1-inch mark over here. And it's going to be close, but that's okay. It doesn't, nobody says it has to be the exact halfway. So I want it to go right under the lettering. I'm going to lie it gently there, and I could see in my track where my blade is going. So I can see that I'm in a good spot. Straight up it goes. Okay, so then I'm going to put those together on there. I'm going to glue both pieces at the same time so that I know I can match them up just where they need to go. Okay. With the glue, you have that little bit of wiggle room. So now, when you open it up, that matches up just like that. So yes, you do see the crease there, but that's okay. People can know that it's okay to open it. I just think it looks really sweet that way. Okay, very nice on that. And then we have your gold strip in there to carry over the gold. So I think that's really sweet. So here are 3 of our examples so far. And I hope you like those, and I hope you're inspired to try some of your own. Let me open them up and show you the insides. Oh, we have to put something on the inside there yet. I'll figure it out later. Oh, I know exactly what to put. I'm going to take some extra designer paper. Has a little bit of a pattern, but it's tying in with that. And you can put it vertically, left, right, horizontally. Since there's a lot of horizontal stuff going on here, I'm going to put it vertically. I'm going to choose the side that doesn't look like it's kind of rough there. So there we go. I make a little bit of a crease with my nail, and this is so tiny I can just cut it with my scissors. Don't really need the trimmer. And I'll glue that on, and that'll bring a little something on the inside. I guess I could do that too, couldn't I? Ooh, that does look pretty. All right, let's do that. Isn't it fun to discover things along the way? Don't be afraid to change your mind. It's okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, voila, done. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out my blog, stampwithlorraine.com. If you're not already on my mailing list, please sign up on my blog, and you'll get a free tutorial, and also lots of inspiring tutorials and tips and tricks in my newsletter, and you'll be kept informed with a lot of Stampin' Up! Specials and offers. So, hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.